Welcome to the newest episode of Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. I'm your host, Jason Fraley, picking the brains of the top filmmakers, musicians, and artists of our time. Country Music Television presents the annual CMT Music Awards this week, so we're paying tribute to the late Joe Diffie, one of the very first celebrities to die of COVID-19. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Your songs are timeless, and people know them all, even if they don't remember they know them all.
Well, you get a lot of that. It's like, oh, I forgot he sang that. Oh, I didn't know he sang that. Cool. Yeah, it's just one of those, we've had a really good run in the 90s, and so, a little bit of a nostalgia factor, I guess. People enjoy coming to see it and hearing songs they're familiar with.
Absolutely. Now, tell me a little bit about how you got started. Didn't you write some stuff that Hank Thompson recorded?
Yeah, that was kind of my first dip of the toe in the music business, Nice. Of course, I'd sang in groups and, bluegrass groups and gospel groups and country bands and whatever else before that. But I wrote a song, and unbeknownst to me, my mother sent it to Hank Thompson, and he recorded it. So I was like, that was kind of cool, So that was kind of my first foray into it. So that kind of gave me my inspiration to move to Nashville. That's back when I still lived in Oklahoma. So.
Oh, yeah, man. And if any of our listeners, any younger ones don't remember, Hank Thompson was a legend in country music. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he had kind of a Western swing kind of thing that he did. And I tell you, it was kind of full circle, though. It was kind of interesting. I got inducted into the Oklahoma Country Music Hall of Fame with Hank Thompson at the same night. So that was pretty cool, yeah.
That was that a bit of a wild full circle thing to have someone that sort of got you idolized and broke in the business with, and all of a sudden you're basically on equal footing with him now.
It was weird actually, but yeah, I get inducted in the Hall of Fame, and I told my family, and my daughter says, "Well, Dad, that's cool. You're not even dead yet." I was like, "Hey."
That's great. What was his song? Was it "Wild Side of Life"? Is that what it was?
Yeah, that was his big one, was Wild Side of Life. Yeah.
And it wasn't God Made Honky Tonk Angels was sort of the response to that, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Hey, we're going down memory lane here, baby.
Well, that's old school right there.
Yeah, I love it. But speaking of that, and me and Sam Kershaw talked about this yesterday. But he was saying about how today's country music sounds a lot different from back in those days with the Hank Thompsons, and actually even from what you guys did sort of in the early '90s. It's kind of been more infused with a little rock and even some pop. And
right.
What was it? Jason Aldean did a little bit of a shout out back to you, and he had like a whole song with the Joe Diffie line in it, right?
He did. Yeah, called 1994 was the name of the song, and I was. We've had fun with that. I get asked a lot of times. What do you think about that song? I guess people think I'm not going to like it. I'm like, well, how could I not like a song that's about me?
Yeah, reintroduce maybe a new crowd to you. Absolutely.
Yeah, we did. Absolutely. Got a lot of Jason's fans come to our shows, and they're like, hey, that's that dude he's talking about. So, yeah. And the cool part is, you see them, they know every word to all of my songs. So obviously they've done some research and, et cetera. So it's pretty cool.
You're being humble when you say the research, but they don't have to do much research, sir. It's your stuff's still in heavy rotation whenever they bust out. Maybe on weekends on some country stations or something. We hear your stuff a lot. Do you mind running through some of them with me? Because I love some of these songs.
Sure.
I think your first big one was Home, right?
Yeah, that was my very first song. I actually sang the demo on it and had it forever before, we got to actually go in the studio and record it. And almost didn't record it because I'd had it so long. I kind of, it kind of fell to the bottom of the pile. And my producer at the time said, "Man, what about this song?" I'm like, "I don't know." And so he said, "Let's listen to it." So we listened to it, and both of us got tears in our eyes. And I thought, well, gosh, if that does that to us, maybe it'll do it to everybody else. So thank goodness we recorded it. It was my first single and first #1 song.
Top the charts, yeah. And their next album had a couple more hits too. Like, and let's just pick one to talk about. Ships That Don't Come In, big one.
Mm-hmm. One of my favorite songs, probably my favorite song that I recorded.
Why is that? Why is that?
I don't know exactly why. It's just a very poignant song, and it seems to mean different things to different people. I get a lot of great stories from our military folks. Actually, tell me that they really like that song. So. I almost didn't record that one as well. It was during the Desert Storm thing, and my producer brought it to me, and I was like, "Man, I don't know. I don't want to like people think I'm taking advantage of a situation, a terrible situation." But he said, "That's not what it's about." I was like, "Okay." So thank goodness I recorded that one.
Yeah, still resonates. All right, and then one of my personal favorites, "Prop Me Up Beside the Jukebox If I Die." That's one of the most fun country songs of the last 25 years, man. I talk about where do you remember when that one came about?
Yeah. It was one of those. Sometimes when you look for songs, like I say, you're not sure about them. You don't know what to think about them. But that was a kind of a no-brainer for me when I heard it. I was like, that's a cool song right there. So we did that, and I actually I thought this was interesting. I was at the Academy of Country Music Awards in Hollywood one year, right near when that came out, and I was out in the hallway, and I hear somebody, said, "Hey, Joe." And I looked around, I saw Liza Minnelli, okay,
Wow.
and she goes, "Hey, Joe." And I turned around, and I said, "Me?" And she says, "Yeah." So I walked over there, and she goes, "I just want to tell you, I love Prop Me Up Beside the Jukebox."
That is
I
great.
was like, "Wow, how did you even hear that?" So it was pretty cool. I was like, "Wow, that's unbelievable." I couldn't believe she was going, "Hey, Joe," to me. I was like, "Me?" That's cool.
You should have her cover that one. I could see her. I want to go to heaven, but I don't want to go tonight. I can hear it.
Yeah.
It's great. But the song's so cool because it's almost like it's like a last will and testament, but a fun version of it. I love it.
Exactly.
I love it.
Exactly.
Also, same album. John Deere Green on a Hot Summer Night. Everybody can sing that one by heart too. Why do you think that one caught fire so much?
That I don't know. Honestly, it's still my most popular song, probably.
Yeah.
It doesn't take long for somebody to start hollering that one out every time we play a show. So I don't know why it's that popular. I will tell you that I played it for my parents, and my mom cried. She hated it. She thought it was rock and roll.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and compare that to a lot of stuff today. Think about
Yeah,
that.
I know. Isn't that funny? But yeah, so I thought that was funny. She just cried, or she's, "I don't think that's rock and roll." I'm like, "Well, Mother, it's not either."
Yeah.
Anyway.
Exactly. Are Billy Bob and Charlene named after anybody, or where'd that come from?
Well, the guy that wrote this song was named Dennis Lindy. He passed away a few years ago. But he was a very eccentric guy, and he wrote at one point one year he had like 4 or 5 songs in the top 10 at the same time. I mean, he had Bubba Shot the Jukebox with Mark Chestnut. He had Queen of My Double Wide Trailer with Sammy. Mm-hmm. He had, I don't know, there's a couple other ones. Anyway, but I thought this was interesting. He was kind of a hermit. He would never come to town. He would write his songs, and he would demo them all by himself at his house. And but he had a big mural painted on the wall, and it was a mural of a town. And he had every place named and had characters in it, and all these characters from all those songs he wrote came from that mural.
This is a fictitious mural of just random characters.
Right.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. He wrote "Earl Has to Die." I think the Dixie Chicks did that one. He just a lot of interesting, kind of unusual songs that he wrote. Yeah.
That's amazing. So all these song characters are floating around somewhere out there in this fictitious town in a mural.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
That is fantastic. All right, moving on. Third Rock from the Sun. Welcome to Earth. Was the TV show on at the time, or did the song precede that TV show?
The song preceded the TV show.
Okay.
And I had people for a long time, though, after that, think that they were interconnected, and they were not at all.
Right.
So they thought, a lot of people thought that I had something to do with the TV show. I got asked that a lot, but no, it wasn't. That was just a song that actually was a kind of a package deal. I wanted this other song that I liked better than Third Rock at the time, and the producer, the publisher didn't want to give it to me because Garth wanted Third Rock.
Garth Brooks wanted Third Rock.
Yeah, and so we said, well, we'll record both songs if you let us have that one. So they did, and when we got in the studio, it was kind of obvious that Third Rock was really a cool song. So that's why it became a single. But yeah, it's all the back doings there.
Take me into the back doings just a tad. How were you allowed to do it over Garth? How did that actually work out?
Well, I mean, it was early in Garth's career, and he hadn't exploded like he did after that. Right. So nowadays they would laugh at me and give it to Garth. So.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, you got it. You got in there and got it, though. I love that.
That's right.
That's a great story. And one of my other personal favorites, Pickup Man.
Yeah.
How did that one come about? Because it's something about singing about a pickup truck. There's something about it in country music, but it can turn into gold, baby.
But it's gold, Jerry, I tell you.
It's gold, Jerry.
Yeah,
Gold.
it's gold, Jerry. What do they call it? They should call it round team.
Yeah. Speaking of the 90s references.
Yeah, a little Seinfeld.
Hey, man,
reference.
greatest show of all time, in my opinion. But anyway,
yeah.
Go ahead. So you're a Seinfeld fan.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It was just one of those songs that I knew was a hit immediately. I don't know. A couple of buddies of mine wrote it, and I don't know, just knew it was a hit immediately. It just had that feeling, and I had it for a while. And I could not wait to get in and record it on a new album at the time. And had a little interesting factoid. I had Brett Bodine, former NASCAR driver,
Yeah.
happened to be in the studio with me while I was singing it. And at the end, I was like, I wanted to do an ad lib at the end, and Brett actually came up with the ad lib at the end about stand on it or whatever it was I said. So,
Yeah. It's a great song. Let's just hit one more. Bigger Than the Beatles. One of your biggest songs, and it's a great one.
Well, thank you. That's the only song. This is a true confession here. The only song that I did it from the get-go, had to lower the key on from the album because I had a terrible laryngitis cold when we recorded it, but we already had the studio booked. The musicians were booked. We're all in there, and I couldn't sing a tap. So the songwriter, one of the songwriters, was there, and I said, "Why don't you sing the scratch vocal for me?" He goes, "Okay, what key?" I said, "I guess the same key that the demo was in."
Right.
Because I'd never actually sang it. I just liked the song,
Right.
And so he got in, they recorded it, sang it, and I got back in there, and I was like, "Uh-oh, this is really high right here." If I'd have been in there singing, we would have probably lowered the key at the time. So, but anyway, that's just a fun song, People love that thing.
Isn't there? It's been. Remind me, because I'm trying to remember. But isn't there like a little bit of a Beatles? She loves you. She loves you. Yeah. In there.
Exactly at the end of it. Yeah, I had a guy who was played with me at the time named Lee Bogan, who actually plays for Aaron right now.
Aaron Tippett.
But he was a Beatles fanatic, and he came in to sing some harmony on that song, and we said, we need some Beatles stuff at the end of this, So he's like, how about the yeah. So he did all those parts.
Awesome. Well, I know you're a busy man, so we'll let you go. But thanks so much for taking the time with us. Joe Diffie on WTOP. Thanks so much for joining us on Beyond the Fame with Jason Fraley. Remember to hit the subscribe button and give us a 5-star rating if you like what you hear. We'll see you next time. I wanted to take a second to tell you about an app I really enjoy. Living in the DC area is great, and Podcast DC gathers all of the local shows that I like all in one local app. Health, sports, local news, politics, and so much more. Podcast DC is the new local app with hundreds of DC area podcasts to choose from. I can earn exciting rewards just for listening and share the podcasts I love instantly. Available in the App Store or in Google Play, listen local with Podcast DC.